Kevin O'Leary, aka Mr. Wonderful, joins me today. We're going to be getting his thoughts on where he thinks the markets will go from here, which sectors will win, will lose under a Trump presidency, and what does this all mean for Canada? We're going to get his thoughts right now. Kevin, welcome back to the Daniela Cambone show here on ITM Trading. Always good to be with you.
Great to be back. The reason the market's moving across all sectors right now is $1 trillion worth of regulatory pressure being lifted. I mean, Trump in the previous administration stripped away regulation, and obviously energy is going to be a big beneficiary, but many others as well. Biden-Harris, whether you liked them or you didn't, they added a lot of layers of administration and regulation. They stopped natural gas exports. They didn't do new permits for energy. They closed down the ANWR. And so the market's celebrating a more positive view of expansion, which is good. Bitcoin is more about the regulatory environment. There's a big rumor flying around Washington today. The CFTC is going to take over, which is a commodities-driven regulator. That's a rumor. Away from the SEC, which has been very litigious, and so that's positive. And I'm a big believer in digital payment systems beyond just tokens and Bitcoin, so that's also coming forward. It's a really interesting time because what I really liked about this from 30,000 feet is democracy fixed itself. It fixed itself. When things get too crazy to the left or the right, it somehow figures out how to fix itself. And so nothing wrong with Harris. She was a good person, but she was the wrong person. She never went through any kind of a test. She never, she was anointed, and I think the Democratic Party won't do that again. And Pelosi and Schumer and, celebrities, they're irrelevant to the democratic process. They should have run a convention, and whoever would have come out might have been better. Maybe she would have, but that's all behind us now, and that's in the history books. And so we go forward. And as a investor, I'm very, very encouraged.
Yeah, and Kevin, when you say that the Democrats owe him a big thank you, I mean, they have some serious homework and self-reflection to be doing. I mean, you said America fixed itself during this election. Can the Democratic Party fix itself?
Yes, they can. A great spatula will come from the sky, and they will scrape all of these players out of the story, and they will run a process. They'll have a convention. The Democrats were always a great centrist party, and then what happened was Biden got a mandate around the confusion of Trump's last presidency, but he decided he was FDR, and he started bringing all these crazy acts, the Inflation Reactivation Act, and then he brought, Chips and Science, which I hope gets just dismantled immediately. That's a waste of money, giving losers capital. All kinds of just money, free money from the government, and caused inflation. And I remember making a lot of money under Clinton. He was a great president. So they need to be a centrist party, and they will. All these very, very radical ideas of, gender issues around the election, the border was a mess. She paid the price, and I feel for her today because, I've got members of my own family blaming me for this.
Blaming you, Kevin.
And I'm
you're up there with Elon Musk.
I spent a lot of time defending policy. I don't shill for politicians, but I shill for policy, and we have a divided family. I've got women in my family very pissed off, but she was not a good candidate because she'd never been tested, and I wish the best for her, but it doesn't matter at this point. It doesn't matter what I think. It matters about policy, and the policy is very positive. So I'm very, very encouraged. And by the way, I'm excited about what's happening in Canada. We should talk about that too.
And if I could only be a fly on the wall at the next O'Leary Thanksgiving gathering, I'd love to be there. But let's talk a little bit more about the trifecta of Bitcoin, the dollar, and gold. We saw Bitcoin rallying, new all-time highs for the cryptocurrency. We see the US dollar rallying, gold selling off immediately post-election results. It's rebounding here as we're speaking. What are these three things, Bitcoin, dollar, and gold? What's the message and the signal that they're sending us?
Listen, I've done very, very well in gold. I've always held a 5% weighting. I've done very, very well in Bitcoin. These things are not against each other. You can own both. Gold is a 2,000-year-old hedge against all kinds of issues. And I'm a huge fan of gold. And so I keep my 5% weighting in gold in perpetuity. And, the debate, gold versus Bitcoin, there's no debate. You can own both. It's not a
Yes.
problem. These are
Yes.
alternative asset classes. Silver's done well too. Um, I find it very interesting. It's not one against the other, and so I think going forward, while we try and tame inflation, which is still existing, but you've got a lot of. I mean, think about Bitcoin and think about gold. All these countries around the world printing so much money, and if you have any concern, why not own a little bit of both, including the U.S. government? My goodness, are we printing M2? So it's sort of like as an investor, I get this question every day: gold versus Bitcoin. There is no versus. I own them both.
So let me ask you, Kevin, the dollar rally that we're seeing, does it keep strengthening here under a Trump presidency?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it is Trump. You love him or hate him, and believe me, look, I just have to tell you, it's so interesting to hear how emotional people get about this guy. But he's very transparent, and I always say to everybody, he's never going to change, so get over it. He's now the president-elect of the United States. Get over it. Focus on policy. Focus on policy. So the American dollar is the default currency. And now that Trump's back in the saddle, so to speak, you've got to think about what it means to China, Iran, the whole conflict going on in Europe with Ukraine and Putin. They're scared of this guy because he's unpredictable. That's his strength. They're scared of him.
So break it down for us, Kevin, policy wise, China wise. I can't tell you how many people stopped me on, I was walking outside the building today and they were like, hey, Daniela, tell us, what's this going to mean now for our packages coming from China, from Temu, from Amazon, from Shine, wherever they're ordering from? Does it mean life's about to get a lot more expensive for their goods coming from China?
There's an act floating around Congress here in Washington that is the Tariff Reciprocity Act. It basically says let's level the playing field between countries so that if there's a tariff for cars in Germany for 10%, the U.S. puts the same tariff on, which is a level playing field. And we've solved for NAFTA for Canada and Mexico and the U.S., so we don't have that issue. But for other countries, just having a reciprocal playing field is okay, except for China. I'm an advocate for turning up the heat on China to much, much hotter because they joined the WTO in 1999 and they've never played by the rules since then. And I do business there, and I've been totally screwed. They are just they don't give a damn, and so the supreme leader does not care. And there's a great situation that everybody can deal with and understand in the U.S. here. TikTok, it's banned at midnight, January 19th. It's Chinese spyware. Everybody knows that. And they're going to have to shut down the Oracle servers that evening. And I've said I'll buy it. I'll turn it into an American product. There's many others who want to do the same thing. But the Supreme Leader used the American courts to sue the American people after the American people, on a bipartisan basis, said, we want to shut it down. I can't do that in China. I can't sue the Supreme Leader. I can't even get property rights. I can't get IP rights. I have to pay for compliance costs on the NYSE and NASDAQ. He doesn't. Every business in China is owned by the Supreme Leader. That guy runs it all. So let's squeeze his head like a teenage pimple. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's put tariffs on of 400% and say, hey, listen, you'll lose power when everybody loses their job making yoga mats in China because we're going to charge 400% tariff on them unless you get on a plane and come to Washington and join us in this reciprocal tariff act. The Supreme Leader will be on a plane in 48 hours. He'll be sitting in front of Trump, who he's scared of big time. I love what I love about, and listen, this is not an endorsement of Trump or against him or whatever. You need strength in leadership. You have to squeeze heads. Believe me, Putin's sitting on the toilet right now in Moscow thinking, oh shit. Like, that's happening. Iran, they're on hold. They're scared of this guy, and that's what we need. You have to show strength. This kumbaya crap that the last administration did, look at everybody that's died because of that. People lost their lives. You need strength. You have to scare your adversary. You have to show them the outcome, the bad outcome that can happen to them if they mess with you. That's how it works.
Well, that's definitely the message that was delivered loud and clear last night. People want someone to start standing up for America. And on that note, want to talk Canada now. We saw Prime Minister Trudeau's immediate reaction saying, don't worry, Canada, everything's going to be fine for us under a Trump presidency. We're fine with a Trump victory. Kevin, what is Trudeau really up against here?
Trudeau is now a mouse in the kitchen running around. You see them just under your cabinetry. His own cabinet has a broom and they're trying to get him. They're going to get him. They're going to get that little mouse pretty soon. And it's going to be great because it's going to open up Canada to bring back to international investing. I am very excited about investing in Canada again. I haven't touched it in 8 years. Trudeau's the worst manager in history of Canada. I've said that countless times. It's the end game now. It's very important that we get rid of him soon. But I think Canada is in a great position right now because we need energy in North America, and we have it. We need data centers. Canada can lead in AI. Um, we need to get rid of Trudeau. I thank him for his service, and just it's time to move on. I mean, they're going to get the mouse. The broom's going to hit the mouse soon. That's what's going to happen.
But the question is, Kevin, who is that leader in Canada? Does Canada even have such a candidate?
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if they put a goat in running Canada. It's better than what we got right now. I'm happy to put a goat in Parliament, and we just listen to that goat nay, yes or no. It's better than what we have right now. Trudeau has killed Canada. The amount of capital that has left Canada in the last 8.5 years, the GDP per capita, the collapse of investment in Canada, it's all on him. He owns it. That guy has damaged our country in such a brutal fashion, it's going to take decades to fix it. It's so important that he get out of there. Please leave us alone. Please leave. Please. His own party is on their knees begging him to leave. He's got to go. We have to fix the country. Please, enough. Please, enough. You can do something else. He's still got his passport. He can stay in Canada if he wants. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't care. He's just got to step aside. The damage, the abuse, the mismanagement, the incompetency. Please don't get me going.
Kevin, you're right. I mean, as a fellow Canadian, that's all I really want for the country is respect for Canada and strength for the nation. But just yesterday, I was speaking with someone here in New York, and they said, hey, Daniela, what's the mayor's name up there in Canada? No one knows anything about Canada. It feels like no one respects Canada anymore. I mean, that's just the vibe I'm getting.
I'm so ashamed of what he's done to us. I went with my wife to a wedding in Cairo just months ago. They wouldn't let us in with our Canadian passports.
Wow, that's...
I mean, Trudeau, what did you do to us? What did you do to us? The same thing in India, the same thing in China. Like, what did you do? You own this problem. You own it. It's you. It's you. You own it. You own it. I'm so pissed. I have a Canadian passport, the most coveted passport on earth. What did he do to us? I don't even know why they're pissed at us. I have to use my Irish passport to go to a wedding, and I'm so pissed.
Well, thank you for that heartfelt plea, Kevin. I'm sure it resonates with many people watching right now.
Sorry, I just have to tell the truth sometimes.
Well, we welcome you on the show anytime. You know, as Elon Musk says, legacy media is dead.
Whatever. I just had to get it off my chest. I'm a proud Canadian. I want what's best for our country, and I want to be proud of my passport and my legacy as a Canadian. By the way, I'm working to bring capital back. As soon as that guy is gone, I'm coming back.
So let me just ask you this. When was the last time you felt proud to be Canadian?
9 years ago. But I'm coming back, and I want to rally our country. We can punch above our weight. We just have to get rid of. I mean no disrespect, but please step aside.
Kevin O'Leary, thank you so much for joining us.
Take care.
And thank you all for watching. We'll have more content coming your way. Be sure to subscribe to the Daniela Cambone Show at danielacambone.com and to this YouTube channel. Subscribe so you stay on top of all the videos. That's it for me. Thanks for watching. Hi, everyone. Daniela Cambone here for ITM Trading. You know, I have had the privilege and the honor of doing a career I love for close to 20 years, and I have met thousands of the most insightful and intelligent people on the planet. There's just so much wisdom, lessons, and insights I have gained in terms of building an incredible portfolio and preserving your wealth. And we want to share those insights with you today. We have put together a free report that highlights some of the best knowledge I have acquired through all these years. You can get it today for free at DaniReport.com. Again, that's Dani, DANI, report.com. Don't miss out. Get it now.